Ah, yes, DeepSeek, DeepSeek, DeepSeek. It's the model that everyone is talking about. It's the model that made NVIDIA sink 18% in one day. In this video, we're going to talk about DeepSeek. Specifically, we're going to go over the paper. Let's walk through the paper together and find out what DeepSeek is all about straight from the sources. Let's go. If you're new to my channel, I have a website at kevinwoodrobotics.com where I have a bunch of resources on robotics and computer vision. So check it out and subscribe to learn more. So DeepSeek came out with a paper called DeepSeek R1 Incentivizing Reasoning Capability in LLMs via Reinforcement Learning. So one of the main things that it mentions here is that the models that they mostly talk about is the DeepSeek R10 and DeepSeek R1. So the DeepSeek R10 is a model trained via large-scale reinforcement learning. So one of the features is that there is no supervised fine-tuning. They call it SFT. And this is one of the first steps that they focus on. So one thing that stands out about this is their main implementation of reinforcement learning. And later on, we'll see some more details about that. But here you can see this is some of the benchmark performance of the DeepSeek R1. And, as every model paper likes to say, is that their model is better, right? But here you go, you can see the results. They say that they pretty much beat the OpenAI O1 models. But of course, you're going to have to test on yourself based on some of the feedback from other people. They do think that this DeepSeek one is better. There's also theories about them actually using OpenAI's model to train it, but we'll just be focusing on what the paper mentions. So here you can see one thing that they focus on is they try to introduce inference time scaling by increasing the length of the chain of thought reasoning process. So this chain of thought reasoning process is kind of what we do where we focus on a step-by-step approach. So if you ask Google the definition, you see that this is what it says. So chain of thought reasoning is an AI technique that helps LLMs solve problems by breaking them down into a series of logical steps. How it works is the AI identifies the key parts of the problem. And number two, AI processes each part in order, considering how each step leads to the next. And AI builds on each previous step to move toward a logical conclusion. So this step-by-step approach is what helps these models take a complicated problem or generic sounding problem into a stepwise approach so that it can help, lay out its thinking process to both itself and to the viewers, and then use that as feedback to see if it's going in the right direction. So here you can see that it mentions the first step towards improving large language model reasoning capabilities using pure reinforcement learning. So for those that are new to reinforcement learning, it's like when babies first learn how to walk. Their main objective is to stand up and they keep trying. There's feedback, there's like rewards and penalties. Penalty is probably them falling on the floor. Reward is them being able to stand up longer and longer. So this process of learning is called reinforcement learning, and you could apply it to AI models like they are doing for their DeepSeek model. So here you can see that the main thing that they're training on is the DeepSeek V3 based model, which they later on get the checkpoint to be the DeepSeek R1. So this whole process of training is for them to get a better and better model and then finally release a version that's usable for the public. So one thing to note is that the DeepSeek R10, they have a template to structure some of the formats. So you can see that a conversation between user and assistant, user asks a question and assistant solves it. Assistant first thinks about the reasoning process in the mind and provides the user with the answer. The reasoning process and answer are enclosed within think and close think, and then answer close think tags. So this way, it helps some of the training process because everything is structured in a very nice and readable way. So here we focus on the reward modeling. So as any reinforcement learning, there's usually some objective function and they have some reward that helps the model get closer to the desired output. So the two main reward models that they focus on this first one is the accuracy rewards, and the second one is the format rewards. So accuracy rewards, what it says is accuracy reward model evaluates whether a response is correct. For example, in case of math problems which determine results, the model is required to provide the final answer in a specified format, enabling reliable rule-based verification of correctness. So when things are in a very standard format, it makes checking easier, because you can imagine if the format is all over the place, and it's pretty hard to compare apples to apples. And we also have the format rewards. In addition to accuracy reward model, we employ a format reward model that enforces the model to put its thinking process between the think and think, close think tags that we just talked about. So again, this format allows it to dissect its output in a more methodical way. So for people that have done programming, they know that the more structured your inputs and outputs are, the easier it is for the program to understand what it's actually looking at. And here you can see that it says, rather than explicitly teaching the model on how to solve a problem, we simply provide it with the right incentives, and it autonomously develops advanced problem-solving strategies. So here's an example of a math problem. So here it says, if a is greater than 1, then the sum of the real solutions of square root of a minus square root of a plus x equals x is equal to, and then you can see that it starts formatting the response in this think format that we just talked about. And then up to some point, it's like, wait, that's an aha moment I can flag here. Let's reevaluate this step by step to identify if the correct sum can be, and then it continues again. So this iterative cycle is what makes some of the responses better and better, because it self-checks itself. So they focus on using cold start data to fine-tune their DeepSeek V3 base model. So the two things that this helps with is with readability. So you can see that key limitation of DeepSeek R1 is that content is often not suitable for reading. Responses may mix multiple languages or lack markdown formatting to highlight answers for users. So what this does is it creates a more readable pattern, and it makes it easier for the users to read the response. And we also have the potential, by carefully designing the pattern for cold start data with human priors, we observe better performance against DeepSeek R1. So notice that here, this is a definition of cold start data. For those that don't know, it's a scenario when an AI model is attempting to learn and make predictions with very little or no initial data. And here you can see this is a graph that shows the model spending more and more time for reasoning to improve their answers. And to actually make the models usable, they need to make sure the model is lightweight enough. And this whole process is called distillation, and they use the Gwyn 2.5 32 billion model for that. So if you want to check it out, they have a GitHub. You could download it yourself. So if you found this video helpful, give a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.